I was just about to start recording for this video when another shooter showed up, and it's a regular shooter, a very good guy. He's in some of my other videos. His name is Martin, and I just spent the last maybe half hour talking to him. He had open heart surgery a few months back, and it's good to see him doing well. So he's out here today with the 22 rimfire, so you'll be hearing some shots from him, but yeah, definitely good to see someone doing well after a procedure like that. But what I want to talk about today is this scope I've been using for the last year and a half. So Discovery Optics sent me this scope. It's the ED-PRS 5-25 by 56. It's got a 34 millimeter tube, side focus, and illuminated reticle. It is in first focal plane, and it is an excellent scope. I would not say that just because they sent it to me. I've been using this scope on every rifle I have. It is the only good scope I have, and it does field duty and bench duty, both at 100 and 600 yards. So this is my long-term review of this scope. It's not going to be a review. It's going to be just a summary of my experiences using this scope on every rifle I have for the last year and a half. So this is it on my CZ457. I'm going to have scope camera footage for you today, so no matter what I say about this rifle and this scope, I will not spew any garbage. I will not tell you anything that's false, because you'll be able to see it for yourself once we start shooting here. So yeah, there it is. That side, you can see it's large, 34 millimeter tube, 56 objective. It has oversized turrets, and we'll take a look at it from this side. You can see the markings on it. That's the model there. It's got a throw lever, super nice, and yeah, very nice scope. Now, I don't baby any of my equipment. You can see this huge gouge on it. You might be able to see some other blemishes. Now, I take care of my equipment, but I use it and I don't baby it. So this scope has seen every bit of weather that we have up here, and we have a true 4 seasons. So it has been frozen, it's had snow on it, it's been rained on, it's been covered in mist, and also dust and sand, and yeah, just basically wipe it down. It's in vortex rings right now. These are the rings it came with. Super nice, very beefy rings. The reason it's not still in these rings is because when I bought my Savage the start of this year, it came with scope bases, but they were Weaver bases. So I could not mount this scope with the Discovery rings on Weaver bases, so I ended up buying these. They had them at a local gun shop, and that's why this scope is sitting in vortex rings. Now, speaking of what works and what doesn't, the vortex rings work. So I've not felt the need to swap the scope back into these rings, but whenever I have an opportunity, like a teardown or whatever, I will put these back on, because they are they're bigger, they're stronger. I feel more comfortable and confident with these when I'm shooting my 6.5 Creedmoor, and it just happens to still be in the vortex rings. So I have used this scope successfully in 100-yard bench rest shooting with 2 different rimfire rifles. I've used it successfully in the field on four different hunting rifles, and I've also used it successfully out here at my club during 600-yard bench rest competitions with my 6.5 Creedmoor, and it has performed flawlessly in both the field and on the bench. And what I mean by performance, okay, it could be measured in a few different ways. But when I talk about performance in a scope, I'm talking about glass. So you want it to be clear, you want it to be bright. I'm talking about controls. Magnification, the through a lever is super nice. Side focus, it's got a large wheel. And the turret for dialing elevation. That's what I mean about performance. Now, one other thing that is very personal, I think it is, because if you could give me the best scope in the world, whatever that is, if it has a reticle that I don't like, I'm not going to want the scope, okay? So I include the reticle in the performance category because it matters. This one has a super nice reticle, it has a floating dot, it has everything that you would want in a reticle and not much excess. And by excess I mean in the lower portion of the reticle. Some scopes will have reticles that are far too busy. Some scopes have them that are very plain. I would prefer, if I had to have it one way or another, to have it plain, just not a duplex reticle, but one that has holdover points. But this one here, you'll see in the footage, it's very nice and very effective. So performance-wise, this scope checks all the boxes in everything that's important, in my opinion. The only thing I don't like about this scope is the way the windage turret is mounted. So instead of having this type of fastener, so with a coin or a screwdriver you could just remove this, reset it in any position you want, and put it back down, and it just, that's it, it never fails. This here has loosened up on me a few times because it is held in place by 4 set screws, and those don't get tightened down too much. I've never bothered to Loctite them, but I have had occasion on the bench when I've wanted to dial this. For instance, when I move this scope from one rifle to the next, take some adjustment to 0, and this has been loose, it just will free spin. So the only thing I don't like about this scope is these set screws. If it had this here on the windage, it would be perfect. I would not have a single complaint about this scope. It comes with the sunshade, which okay, it's going to squeak. Keep on there all the time, even when it's not sunny. Why? Because it helps keep the rain off the lens and dust and whatever else that might be flying around. It just helps protect the objective lens. So that is about all I can tell you about this scope. Sure, it's not a Night Force, it's not an Element Optics, it's not an Athlon or an Arkin, okay? Those are all popular scopes. I've owned 2 different Night Force models, the SHV and the NXS, and I've owned a Element Optics Helix, Athlon Argos BTR. I've owned some Hawk scopes and some Vortex scopes. This does not have me wishing that I had one of those other scopes. It is that good. So rather than you just taking my word for it, if you stay tuned, I'm going to do a performance test with the scope camera on it. I've got fresh targets at 50, 100, 200, and 300. I'm going to let the scope camera run while I shoot probably 5 shots at each one of those targets starting at 50. I'm going to dial on out to 300 and then dial back and shoot those targets and show you how nice this scope is. So you don't have to believe me, you can just watch and you will see how sharp the reticle is, how useful it is, how clear and bright the image is, and yeah, it's the best I can do for you to support by scope camera footage everything I've said about this scope. So I'm going to get things ready to shoot. And yeah, feel free. I hope you continue watching. It's not really going to highlight the performance of the gun because I'm trying some untested ammo through this. I have yet to find out what shoots best in it. And the wind is 15 to 25 miles per hour. So we'll get hits on target, but we're not shooting for groups. I'm just going to show you the footage, show you how well the scope tracks, how well it focuses, how nice, clear, and bright it is. And when all that's said and done, if you have any questions, feel free to put them in the comments. I might have stated at the start of the video, I might not have, I can't remember. I've had a lot of stuff sent to me by these companies, and some of it is just pure trash, and that's exactly where those products ended up, is in the garbage. I won't even give them to someone else. It's just not worth my time to use. It wouldn't be fair for me to pawn some inferior product on one of my friends. Those products just end up in the garbage. This one here, when they sent it to me and wanted me to compare it to my the Night Force, Element, and Athlon scopes I've used in the past, I really wasn't expecting it to compare at all. It has, in fact, surprised me with its quality and performance, and has impressed me every day that I use it on whatever gun I'm using it on. I've won competitions with it in 100-yard bench rest rimfire, and I've done very well with it at 600 yards with my factory rifle. So yeah, hope you enjoyed the footage, and I hope it is useful in some manner. Otherwise I wouldn't ask you to watch it, but it really will highlight the performance of this scope. And again, thank you for watching. Okay, scope camera's on. All I have to do is push record, but I'm pointed this way right now, so it's a weird looking camera angle. We're going to do 5 shots at 50. Once we get to 100, we're going to be pointed better. So 50, we're going to work our way out to 300. We'll dial for everything except for 300. I'll have to hold over 2 mils, and then we'll dial right back, and you'll be able to see the results for yourself. So I only have a 5-round mag, but I will load as quickly as I can, okay? And we're just going to do this all in one take. The awkward angle to cycle the bolt and everything. This is untested ammo, and it is super windy today, as I stated before, 15 to 25 miles per hour, and this is a terrible 50-yard group, but is at an awkward angle. So now you'll get to watch me do everything as far as how you would use the scope, as far as adjusting the parallax and dialing for elevation. So let's go up and focus. Yeah, it's pretty darn clear. So I have 2 targets at 100 yards. We're going to shoot on one, and then when we come back, we'll shoot on the other. Wow, that's actually a great group. This is Norma Match. I just bought it yesterday and zeroed it I first got out here to the range. So that, yeah, I'm impressed by that group for sure. So now we'll dial out to 200. Let's see. That should be it there. And we need a little bit of elevation. Okay, so I have a shoot and see stuck to the steel gong out there. All right, so let's see what holding dead on does for us. Here we go. Oh, it made a mess out of that decal. A little bit of wind drift on that one. Yeah, she's drifting pretty good now. There we go. All right, we'll load up 5 more and then we'll go out to 300. So I'm gonna dial all but 2 mils. And we're probably gonna have to hold for sure, at least on the left edge of that plate. So here we go. Yeah, look at, that's it right there. So let's get focused. Pretty good. And we'll go around. I think that's it right there, plus 2 mils. So let's see what that does for us. Okay, it hit the plate, but not the paper. I think it's hitting the top of the plate. It's hard to tell. It hit the plate again, but I can't tell where it's hitting. Oh, okay, there's a lot of wind drift on that one, so let's do 5 more. And it looked like maybe that was low. Not sure if you can hear the wind howling, but it's bad. Okay, here we go. Okay, the wind died down on that one. There we go. We found our wind hold, and see how useful the reticle is for that. Okay, that drifted a lot to the right. There we go. And again. Perfect. This is 300 yards. Oh, and that was it. All right, now let's come back to 200 using the same amount that I dialed first, and we'll see where those are impacting. So we'll come back down. That should be it right there. And focus. Yeah. Okay, here we go. Last one. Nice. Okay, we're back to 100 with these next 5 shots. I hope the footage is as clear in scope camera as it is for me looking right through here with my eye, because there's always going to be a slight difference just based upon how you set your scope camera up. Okay, let's see what this does. Look at that. A little bit of extra drift there. Oh, I can feel the wind. Yep. But you see the elevation is just about the same with those there between the two targets. And now we will come back to 50 for the last 5 shots. Now the reason I held 2 mils over at 300 and didn't dial the whole way is because I don't have enough elevation built into the mount. There's still enough to dial it and to shoot, but because the tube is at such an angle in the scope, it's starting to shadow in the scope camera. So here we go back over here. Okay, where's my target? Oh, that was it. Yikes, look at that terrible group. Hey, ready? All right. Well, that is it. I'm pretty sure what you saw in the scope camera footage is a direct representation of how I described my experiences with this scope. So I am anxious actually to get my hands on the version 2 of this. I know, like, the Pursuit of Accuracy YouTube channel, he was using one, and yeah, so for sure it's out there. I'm hoping to get my hands on one. And yeah, Discovery Optics scopes, it's hard to argue with the performance that you get, and for a lot cheaper than scopes, you know, like Night Force and other models. I spent hard-earned money on Night Force scopes, and I love them. I would love to have another one, but it's hard to argue that you actually need to spend that kind of money to get the performance that you can get with this Discovery Optics model. Yeah, I'll put some other footage in here in the end if the video is not too long. But yeah, thanks for watching, everybody.